What's up, team? It's Jordan here from Courage State, and today I wanted to talk to you about one thing I got out of our most recent lockdown here in New Zealand. I'm shooting this video about 1 week after we've come out of our level 4 and 3 lockdown, and I know a few of you have had reflections, have been quite introspective over the course of the lockdown. Some of you have been quite productive during this time. Some of you have treated it as a time to rest and relax. And I've been one of those people that have been quite introspective. I've taken the time to do some personal reflection because I see it as a really good opportunity to sort of disconnect from technology, disconnect from the world, because we're sort of forced to. Right? The government has imposed that we can't really interact with other people in person, and for me that meant that I couldn't work to the same extent as what I usually could. So it gave me a unique opportunity to have sort of 3 weeks of sort of uninterrupted thought, which can be kind of dangerous at times, right? Because we sort of have these existential crises, or at least I do sometimes. So in this particular lockdown, the one thing I sort of reinstated within myself that I wanted to really focus on coming out of lockdown was presence. Just one word. Keep it real simple, because I know when it comes to habit creation, it pays to keep things simple. So that was the one word, the one phrase, the one feeling I wanted to sort of live by coming out of lockdown was presence. And what I mean by that is that I tend to be the sort of person that thinks way too far into the future, whether it be on a day-by-day basis where I'm thinking about the end of the day, you know, when I'm at the start of the day, or where I'm thinking 2 or 3 years in the future about what I'm going to do with my life. So being present for me is extremely difficult, and I find myself, I get constantly distracted because I think a lot, right? I think a lot, and it's frustrating sometimes. So the act of being present during lockdown was reasonably easy because there weren't many distractions. I was able to sort of sink into myself. I was able to go for runs a lot and just be in nature, which is a really good way for me personally to sort of center myself. During lockdown, I was able to focus on breath work a lot and just focus on the things that made me happy, like dancing, playing music. I was doing some art at the time as well, spending time with family, which was really cool. So it was all very well being present during lockdown because I didn't have all the distraction. Now the challenge was being able to stay present when it came into normality again. Now we're in level 2 in New Zealand, which basically means life is back to normal, albeit there are some restrictions in place. And so far it's gone really well. I know it's only been a week, but I've made it a goal of mine to keep reminding myself to be present. And how I've done that is in a few different ways. The first way is that after lockdown, I wrote down some reflections, and every now and then when I feel like my presence is becoming a bit muddied and I'm starting to get distracted, I'll just go back to my journal and look back at those reflections that I made when I was being really present. And that sort of jogs my memory and articulates exactly how I was feeling when I was present, so that when I start to feel a little bit muddy in my thought patterns and start to get a bit distracted, I can clearly remember a time where things were crystal clear. Another thing is that I tend to rely on my senses. So for example, one of the triggers for me that makes me stressed and that makes me not present is when I'm running late to things, or when I don't give myself enough time to get to things, when I feel like I'm going to be late for something. That really stresses me out. So don't be late, and don't make me late, basically. But I found this yesterday. I was going to work, and I was a little bit rushed because I left here too late. You know, my own fault, my own doing. And as I was walking to work, I knew that I was starting to not be present. I was thinking about being late to the client I was going to go see, and I had to talk to myself. I'm like, Jordan, you're going to be on time, because I had time. It's just my mind playing games with me. You're going to be on time, be present. And how I sort of was able to ground myself again was through the breath, because breathing happens in the present moment. You don't breathe for the future, you breathe for right now. Because if you don't breathe right now, you're going to die. So focusing on the breath, because that's happening in the present. Also focusing on your senses. I've also just recently become super fascinated with human beings, okay? With humans, with you lot. We're all fascinating creatures. So I found myself noticing people a lot more on the street and thinking about how people might be feeling, reading facial expressions, reading body movement. So that's another way that I can sort of hook myself back into being present, is walking on the street and just scanning people, looking at people, noticing what they're wearing, noticing how they're acting, how they're responding, what their eyes are saying, what their mouths are expressing. And that can be another really good way of becoming present again. Because once again, this is visual feedback that you're receiving in the present. And if you're focusing on that, then you're going to be focusing on the present. And that's the same for sight, for smell, for touch, for taste. That is all happening in the present. So coming back to the senses was another good way for me to become grounded again. And what I've found is that when you are truly in the moment and not thinking about, oh, I wish I was on holiday, or oh, I wish it was the weekend. When you're truly just happy being in that present moment, life just seems so much richer. You can get a full sense of the world around you. And then when it does come to those things that you're really looking forward to, like the weekend or the holiday, you can also be really present during those times, so that you're not always thinking about a place where you're not right now, or someone you want to be with who you're not with right now. Because as we all know, that's an unhealthy, unattainable mindset when we're constantly searching for things we don't have. And I think there's enough literature, there's enough videos out there that explain that, happiness isn't something that you're going to get from something or from someone. We just need to be happy and present with what we have right now. So this is certainly a work in progress for me, but I think by cueing my environment, by having that journal handy, which had my notes in it from lockdown, by tuning in with my environment through my breath and through my senses and noticing the world around me, I'm making it quite clear to myself that this is something that I really want to work on. So for me, during lockdown, presence was a huge thing that I focused on, but where the rubber meets the road is when I can apply it when the world gets busy again. When life returns to normal, if I can continue that habit, continue that thought process of grounding myself in the here and the now, I know that that's going to serve me well. So I'm also curious to know, for the viewers, if there's anything in particular that, any paradigm shifts that you had during lockdown, please comment them, please share them. I'd love to hear, and to hear how they've gone now that life is sort of resuming back to normal. I really love these discussions about how people are sort of, trying to live better and to be kinder to themselves. It's really awesome, this sort of positive communication. So that's my little nugget from lockdown about sort of what I've learned and what I've wanted to take into life as it resumes. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and yeah, as always, if you've got any questions or comments, just please let me know.